Today's episode is sponsored by Jane, a clinic management software and EMR that helps you handle your clinic's daily admin tasks so you can free up your evenings and weekends. The Jane team understands how precious your time is and recognizes that charting can often be the most time-consuming admin task for practitioners. That's why they're here to help. To save you from having to start your chart notes from scratch, you can check out Jane's template library, which gives you access to templates that have been generously created and shared by health and wellness practitioners in the community. Once you have a template you like, you can choose to customize it further with charting tools such as range scales, text fields, checkboxes, and more. To see how Jane can help you spend more time doing what you love, head to jane.app to book a personalized demo. Or if you're ready to get started, you can use the code WELLNESS1MO at the time of sign up for a 1-month grace period applied to your new account. Hi there, and welcome to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. I'm Kendall Hagenson.
And I'm Anna Rudell. We're thrilled to have you join us on this journey of creating innovative, patient-centered wellness centers.
As experienced health and wellness providers, we've seen firsthand the challenges of delivering comprehensive, holistic care to our patients.
That's why we created this podcast, to share the knowledge, strategies, and insights we've gained from our own experiences and from connecting with experts in the field.
Each episode, we'll dive into a different aspect of building and growing a successful wellness center, from developing a strong multidisciplinary team to implementing cutting-edge technologies and treatment approaches.
We'll also share practical tips, resources, and real-world examples to help you overcome common obstacles and streamline your processes.
Our goal is to empower you with the tools and confidence you need to create a thriving wellness center that truly makes a difference in your patients' lives.
So whether you're just starting out or looking to take your existing practice to the next level, you're in the right place.
Get ready to learn, grow, and be inspired. Let's create something amazing together.
Welcome to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. Today on the show, we have Eriksen Dickens. Eriksen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Let's start by having you introduce yourself to our listeners and share a bit about your story and how you got to be doing what you're doing present day.
Yeah, absolutely. So a bit about me. My name is Eriksen Dickens, born and raised in California. I grew up in Oakdale, which is like a small town in the Central Valley. Grew up making movies with my younger brother. We love filmmaking and whatnot. But I also, at the same time, my mom, she was a behavior analyst, right? So she was knee deep in psychology stuff. So I always had this dual passion of storytelling and how it's relative to filmmaking and then psychology as well. And I didn't really know how I could manage both. How can I do both? So long story short, I ended up in college in San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly, shout out Mustangs. And I was with my brother there actually. And at that point in time, we were kind of trying to figure out what we were going to do with our lives, essentially. We were both collegiate athletes. We ended up getting hurt. And so we were kind of having a bit of an identity crisis, a little existential crisis, if you will. So we got back into filmmaking. And I ended up getting my master's degree in clinical psychology as well. And I was struggling to kind of figure out, how can I balance both? How can I interject psychology into filmmaking? How is it relevant? You tell people that I'm a filmmaker, but I'm studying psychology. They don't really see the connection there. So long story short, I got my master's in psychology. I was thinking heavily about maybe doing that route, becoming a licensed marriage family therapist. But I didn't want to part from storytelling and filmmaking. My brother and I had started a company serving clients and whatnot. So long story short, we ended up finally settling on something that allowed me to do both, which was a certain type of documentary filmmaking we do. And I can go down different rabbit holes and whatnot, but that gives you hopefully a good high level view of who I am.
This is so fascinating to me. Of course, I'm a therapist. Our listeners know by now, but I grew up in a filmmaking family also. And so this is a big passion of mine. And my older brother went to film and photography school, and he still works in the film industry, as well as my dad. And so this is a huge passion of mine. I'm excited to talk to you and learn more about how you're blending these two fields together, which is super cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What kind of films does your brother specialize in, your dad?
Well, now my brother he kind of heads up, leads the teams who build the sets. They've been working on some of the stuff for Marvel and those
Cool.
types of films. So he's out in Atlanta and,
Wow.
yeah, he's really worked his way up in the industry and he gets to work on some pretty fun projects now.
Oh, that's incredible. Holy cow. That's super cool.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to us about this concept of legacy documentaries, because this is primarily what you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, so originally it started off, we were doing a lot of advertisements and whatnot for companies, recruitment videos, advertisements for digital sales funnels and whatnot. But we wanted to do something a little bit more story driven, something that really tapped into our ability to tell stories about people, human beings. That's what's always driven me, is character driven stories. So we wanted to push ourselves in the beginning and challenge ourselves and do something that would really test our storytelling prowess. So we decided to make a documentary on our late father. He passed away when we were kids, and we wanted to make a documentary about his life and just kind of test ourselves, trial and error, and learn through it. So we did that, and it took us about a year and a half from start to finish, and it was a really cool experience and allowed us to not only relive some of that and work through some of that pain that we had experienced. It was a very cathartic experience. It brought a lot of people together. And when we were done with it, we thought, okay, how can we now continue to do this for other people? And so we implemented that offer. We called it a legacy documentary into our business. And from then on, we started to try to find other families, family foundations, nonprofits, some businesses here and there as well that would see the value in something like this. And what we learned along the way is that this wasn't just a product we were delivering, it was more of an experience, right?
Yeah.
So we get to know these people on a very intimate level. We spend a lot of time with them, getting to know their stories, their traumas, their successes, the impact that they've had. And what we saw is that, like I said, it's more of an experience because these people get to come together, share all these things, their perspectives, all united for something towards an end goal, right? And it was just really neat to see these people relive certain moments and work through them. And I think my background in clinical psychology, it put me in a position to be able to do that effectively because here you are interviewing lots of people. You have to build that rapport. You have to build that trust. You have to know what to say in an appropriate fashion in order to extract the information you need to create a compelling story. And so the feedback we've gotten from a lot of these families that we serviced is this whole process, aside from just the film, the final output, the whole process helped me work through a lot of things and gain new perspectives. And one gentleman we worked with after the film was done, the process was done, he said, I feel like I could pass away tomorrow. And I feel okay. I now feel at peace. My story is told. People know me now. So yeah, it was a cool kind of niche that we fell into and developed.
Well, to me, it almost would fall under this umbrella of creative arts therapies, which are, some of our listeners know my background as a dance movement therapist, and a lot of people have heard of art therapists and things like that. Then we get into like wilderness therapy and all these different options. And to me, this could really fall under that. And I get curious if you found yourself using like clinical interventions. I know you talked about interviewing and really understanding the person's story. Do you see room for that sort of psychotherapeutic work throughout this process?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, especially when it comes to really getting to know the interview subjects, right? So who's going to be on camera? Because you can't just show up on set, press record without any prior rapport building, right? You got to kind of earn that trust. And I feel like the number one indicator for therapeutic success, for clinical success, is the relationship between the patient and the therapist. And so I have learned to really translate that or transfer that into what I do now. So I take a lot of time and energy into building that rapport with the mouthpieces of the documentary, right? Getting them to know that I'm here to help them. We've aligned ourselves in the same goal, right? A lot of that comes down to communicating effectively, understanding their wants, their needs, what are they trying to get out of this, and then how can I be a servant of that? A lot of it comes down to allowing them to know that I'm here to hold the space with them. And if there's certain things that come up, I'm not going to be somebody that forces you to talk about it if you don't want to. It's all about peeling the onion back, right? And I think that's pretty similar to a therapeutic setting as well, because naturally as a therapist, you want to be able to be that guide to help bring the best out of your client. And so I've been able to really tap into that side and hold that space with the clients. And luckily it's allowed us to really extract genuine articulation of their emotions, their feelings, their thought processes, their behaviors. Another thing would be just as a therapist, it's somewhat of your job as well to be able to put all the pieces together, right? Somebody tells you about their past, what they've gone through. You start analyzing, okay, so this certain behavior they're doing now is because of what happened in the past. So I've been able to utilize my training in psychology as well to understand like the different segments of their life journey, the different chapters of their overall story, and help them see that as well, help them see their lives in the story. So overall, it's just, I feel like to sum it up, it's made me a stronger storyteller. Which is cool.
That's so beautiful. I get curious about your own internal experience as you're kind of helping guide people through their story and process through their story in this way. And if you've had to kind of tap into those self-care tools or taking care of self that maybe you learned during your master's program, as you know, being with people on this journey, I wonder if it's surprised you or been triggering in ways you didn't expect at times.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because we feel this responsibility. It's a big responsibility to be tasked with capturing somebody's legacy, their life story. And so naturally, my inclination is to just go all out, do the best I can. Just my whole life becomes their life. And that's how I did it in the earlier days. But I realized that there was almost a sense of transference, if you will. I started to take on the pain of my clients. I started to really live their life. And I realized it started to affect me over time. And you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You have to make those boundaries. That way you can deliver the best product that you can. You owe that to your client. And there were some times where things would come up with certain clients who had experienced similar things in their lives that I have as well. The loss of family members, that kind of thing, illnesses. And I would stomach that. I would internalize that. And in the beginning, it was like, well, I want to be able to feel that too. That way I can really translate that emotion into the film. But over time, it was just like it was wearing and tearing me, right? And so I had to really create those boundaries between myself and these clients that we were working with, so that I was able to function properly. So that was a journey for me as well, because I am naturally a more empathetic person. I do want to dive into people's lives and really understand them and feel their almost like method acting, if you will, but the method directing. But there's a fine line, right? So you just got to be mindful of that. And luckily, I was self-aware enough to start to see, like, all right, this is starting to really take a toll on me. So let's create some boundaries here, some healthy boundaries.
I wonder about the business side of what you've created, if you don't mind chatting about it a little bit. It's a business. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious what you've learned about yourself, what you've learned about business, kind of the biggest challenges, if our listeners are thinking about kind of going outside the box and
Sure.
using their skill set in a different way.
Yeah, no, most definitely. So my brother and I started this business back in like 2015, started it just me and him out of a college dorm room. And we were pedal to the metal, right? We sacrificed a lot of time. We didn't really do much of the whole party thing in college. We were just behind a keyboard and we were out shooting. And over time, one thing we really started to learn was that importance of self-care and taking care of yourself. I mean, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of creatives, they go so all in to where they almost negate themselves. And like I said earlier, it's like you can't pour from an empty cup. And my brother and I were so pedal to the metal for a while to where we started to see a decline in our outputs, right? And that wasn't fair to our clients. So we had to do some serious adjustments in terms of, number one, delegating tasks, learning how to lead, learning how to bring a team together and collaborate. Now there's 13 of us on our team, so that was a process for us because we were so used to doing things on our own. Bringing more people in and learning how to lead was challenging, but we saw the benefits of that very early on. Right, we weren't having to do literally everything. We were able to take on more business. We were able to scale because we did have our systems in place. And we felt better. We felt more energized mentally, physically. So that really helped. That's something I can think of, and just creating those boundaries. Like when you own your own business, there's a saying. It's like you can never really be off, right? You're always kind of on in some sense, and that's true to an extent. But at the same time, you have to be mindful of that. And how am I taking care of myself? How am I putting myself in a position that's going to be able to allow me to service my clients the best that they can? Maybe I'm feeling drained. Maybe I'm just not having those creative sparks like I need to. All right, take a step back, go for a walk, listen to some music, whatever it might be. Find your self-care routine, and then don't forget about that.
That's the key.
That's the key.
A lot of us, right? We can figure it out or we can find it, but remembering it or scheduling it out seems to be the hardest part.
Sticking with it, right? Sticking with it, because it's easy to start something. It's more difficult to actually maintain it and create that habitual action that creates behavior change, right? I mean, you can't really change behavior. You can't really change a mindset unless you're actually putting one foot in front of the other and creating that repetition, right? So 100%, yeah.
I wonder what you've learned about yourself as a leader. You said you had a team of 13 now. Mm-hmm. My assumption is that you started the company and then started hiring people when you needed to. Did you go out and learn how to be a leader? Most of us don't. We just do it.
I would say I fall into that camp as well. I kind of learned by doing trial and error. And to answer your question more specifically, one thing I learned about myself really was I don't like conflict. I tend to avoid conflict. I realize that I can be a people pleaser too, which isn't exactly the healthiest thing. So I learned about those traits pretty quickly, and so I needed to tweak those things. I realized that in order to be a more effective leader and run a more sustainable business, there's tough conversations that you have to have, and it doesn't mean you have to be an asshole or you don't have to embrace that corporate kind of, just that shadow that lingers over people, but you do have to be able to communicate effectively and strongly for your company because this is something that you built, something you care about. And so you have to be able to communicate properly because you can't expect to get results out of the people that work with you, if you can't communicate your goals, your vision. That can be especially difficult, I guess, in a creative business as well, because you have all these creative minds coming together, all these different egos, and you have to be able to work collaboratively, put all the different pieces of the puzzle together, and then work forward together. And that's something as well I had to figure out too, is drop the ego a little bit, because I was so used to doing certain things my way. This is the only way. This is the best way. And then you bring someone else aboard, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? That person can actually do it better than me. So I'm going to step back and learn from that person and grow my knowledge. So that was something I learned about myself as well.
It really speaks to the importance, in any creative type of industry or helping professions, where the personalities tend to be very similar of people who go into this type of work. And so it speaks to the importance of diversifying our teams and finding people who are different from us, who have really different skill sets or combination of skill sets, so that we can, share the workload and also learn from each other. So I think What you've built just sounds amazing, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you today and learning more about this. I'm curious if listeners want to connect with you or find out more about how they can work with you. How can they do that?
Yeah, most definitely. If anyone has any questions, whether or not they're interested in maybe preserving their journey in a legacy film, or if you're a filmmaker or storyteller in general and just want to pick my brain and chat, feel free to reach out on our website. It's dickensbrothers.com. You can send me an email personally as well. My email is Eriksen, my first name, Eriksen, @platinumpeak, peak is with 2 E's.com. So don't hesitate to reach out if you want to talk.
Eriksen, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Kendall.
Thanks for joining us on the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. We hope you found the episode insightful and helpful.
Remember to visit our website at wellnesscentercreators.com for show notes, additional episodes, and more resources to help you on your wellness center journey.
We always love hearing from our listeners. Your feedback, questions, and experiences are invaluable to us and help us shape the content we create.
So please don't hesitate to reach out to us anytime. You can contact us through our website or via social media. We're here to support you.
If you know someone who could benefit from the information and insights shared on this podcast, please take a moment to share the show with them. Together, we can help more health and wellness professionals create thriving practices.
Thank you again for tuning in and for being part of a Wellness Center Creators community. Your dedication to providing exceptional patient care is truly inspiring.
We can't wait to share more with you in the next episode. Until then, keep creating, innovating, and making a difference in your patients' lives. See you next time on the Wellness Center Creators Podcast.